Okay, I'm late, I know. I've been busy. But this week has been fairly eventful for Temtem. First of all, we're now more than halfway through the second week of SciPark, and wow, just wow, what a doozy. I'm sure anybody watching this already knows of this drama, but let me quickly break it down so we're all on the same page. This week's SciPark boosts the minimum SVs on the chosen Tems for this week, those being Raiba and Kallazu, and also giving them a chance to already possess their egg moves. The initial price is 2200 Pansun this time around, but you do get 40 Psy cards instead of last week's 5, but you still can buy more from the merchant inside the park as usual, I think 4000 for the next lot up from there. Same old. This setup seems like it would be a breeder's dream, seeing as how Raibas are especially difficult to breed, if not being the most difficult to breed. This is due to the species only having a 15% chance to appear as female. This includes wild encounters and when they hatch from eggs, and since babies are the same species as the mothers, well, it can be a huge pain to breed Raibas and get around gender RNG, especially when it's stacked so heavily against you. But rather than Raibas simply having higher chances at more SVs and being a little better for breeders in the SciPark, it was a goddamn free-for-all. You see, just after the reset and for the first roughly 2 hours or so, people noticed that some of the chosen Tems for the week, the Raibas and Kallazus, were sometimes appearing with their HP and stamina already being lowered, as though they'd just come from a fight. And so we quickly realized this was being caused by the boosted SVs, and this would then give you a direct visual method of determining which Tems had good stats before you even had to throw a card. On top of that, the chances for Tems to have 5, 6, or even a perfect 7 SV spread was much higher than intended. So for those first hours, seemingly everybody was losing their collective minds at how many grossly overpowered Raibas were being found. I suppose Kallazus, but who really cares? Oh, and I forgot to mention, as a direct result of these Tems having higher base SVs and not needing to breed the extras onto them, they had a lot more fertility left than usual. Finding a 6 SV Raiba with 4 fertility remaining wasn't too hard at all. Soon the Creamer staff dropped some messages in the Discord informing the players that the game would need a quick restart. Everybody, who were by this time codenaming the Tems as Bananas, were afraid that the jig was up. The staff had become aware and were going to do the unthinkable. They were going to roll back everything, and all those inflated Tems would disappear. Except that they didn't. In fact, the staff said that the SVs themselves were fine, but it was the visual bug indicating lower HP and stamina values that they had to fix. Obviously, having a means to tell that stats on a Tem, before even having to catch it, was just too good. So, after the servers were rebooted, everybody basically just started catching everything with fingers crossed. There were more duds being found now, yes, but still more 5, 6, and 7 SV Tems were caught. Some particularly lucky people even found Lumas with these boosted SVs during this time. I myself got a Luma Raiba, 3 SV though, so not insane or out of the usual, but it's my second Luma that I've caught after a Pladox last week, and I needed an excuse to make it. Now, here's where the really sticky, dirty, muddy, messy, and kinda stupid part comes in. The devs came back and said they had to do another restart, because as it turns out, the SVs were not working as intended. They were too high. Sure, it was their intention for people to potentially find some very good Raibas with good luck, but the sheer ocean of amazing Tems that were being found was absurd. But by the time they fixed the issues, it was too late. All the early birds had swept through, thrown out 2 or even 3 entire sets of Psy cards, and had reaped the rewards. The devs were adamant they would not do any rollbacks, and as a result of this, the price of Raibas has seen a plummet, going from what was originally anywhere from 60 to 90k, depending on a few different things, down to about 20 to 30k now. Now, I'm convinced the Raiba market will go back up again simply because of how painful it is to breed them, Once this current wave runs out, people will still need to rely on standard breeding again, or simply buy from anybody who saved theirs in storage for that very moment to capitalize. Needless to say, the SciPark never fails to disappoint in stirring up some juicy drama and sparking more fights and arguments on the Discord, regardless of what the devs try to do. I personally hope next week is just as ridiculous. On the other hand, the dev team has dropped the content roadmap on us. This outlines the future plans of the game, as well as the rough time frame when we can expect each of these to drop. The in-game chat being added soon will definitely be met with warm arms. The devs have promised it will have tabs or channels, letting you choose between trading, general, etc. If you're familiar with MMOs, it sounds like you'll be right at home immediately and you know how this works already. The chat feature also comes with chat bubbles, which can be turned off and on, so there's no need to worry about your interface getting overwhelmed by people's random messages whenever you're in a populated spot. Now, probably the most important thing here for the spring section at the very least is ranked matchmaking for PvP being added. Yay! Finally, it can all begin. Now, along with this news, we learned that the TEMs that are used for your teams are ones that you do own, however, their SV values and level aren't mandatory. You see, the ranked mode will feature scaling for TEMs. If you have a level 1 TEM with garbage SVs, it doesn't matter. It will be scaled up to the current max, and have its SVs boosted to allow players a smoother and less cost-effective way to jump into ranked. Now, the trade-off here is that if you want egg moves on a TEM, you still need to breed, and obviously you need to own the TEM to begin with. However, if you don't need to worry about DNA gear to make perfect SVs, this means competitive players only need to worry about catching the right TEMs, 50 Pansun to breed egg moves, and then TV train it. Definitely a lot more cost effective. I'm sure the PvP crew, myself included, are pretty damn happy about this. Speaking on this though, the devs have confirmed that other PvP options, such as the Dojo Wars, soon to come probably later in the year, will not scale TEMs. This, plus basically all PvE content, will incentivize players to continue breeding perfects of whichever TEMs that they plan to use dominantly for other aspects of the game. We might actually see a lot of Lumas enter competitive mode due to this, and their value may go up as a result. Let's keep an eye on that. I am a little sad to see the Kisiwa Island, if I'm saying that right, along with the other new TEMs, including the climbing gear, is still a little while away. But I'm more than happy to wait longer for a better update than waiting less for a worse one. Although the quest diary being in fall did force out a long, exhausted sigh from me, hopefully tracking quests through this new Kisiwa Island won't be too difficult, because by that time we still won't have a way of seeing our quest log. It's going to be the way it is now for a while, it seems. And finally, before I wrap everything up, we've had more and more confirmation that the mount system is still being worked on, hence why it doesn't appear in the roadmap currently. But more importantly, the mounts themselves are independent from your actual TEMs. A lot of people are still getting this confused and thinking that your TEMs that you own can be used as mounts. So this means that anybody who has been specifically hunting for Lumas or a specific TEM to ride on will be met with great disappointment. That Luma Ociara that you spent the first SciPark week farming for with the hopes of riding it one day, you cannot. I'm sorry. The mounts that will be added will need to be obtained separately once they're finished, although the mounts have been confirmed they are TEMs, just probably specifically select ones that have a particular mount version of themselves. I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see how that works out. So, if you're hearing this part, then thank you so much for sticking through until the end. Please feel free to drop comments down below, letting me know your experience or thoughts on SciPark this week and the roadmap that's been dropped. Are you excited for what's to come? And if so, what are you looking forward to the most? Or are you just more confused and disheartened than you were before the roadmap? Thank you again for checking out the vid. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.